If you've been considering buying a house over the past 12 or 24 months, it's a very turbulent time right now. And I bet you've asked yourself, are prices too high? Is the market going to crash? Should I wait? Should I hurry up and buy something? Whether you're looking to buy your first property to live in, your first investment property, your fifth investment property, these questions have probably entered your mind, and I'm going to break down some numbers in this video today that might shock and surprise you. So stay till the end so you can see all these numbers, because I haven't seen anybody else break this down like this. So let's just get into it right now.
Shut up and sit down.
This video was inspired by a podcast I heard over at the Rental Income Podcast. If you guys are looking to get into buying rental properties, it's a really good podcast. They also are on YouTube. I'll put a link to their channel down below so you can check them out. But I was listening to a podcast of a guy who's in Alabama, and he was talking about the difference that interest rate makes in prices when you're looking at investment properties. And the topic of the discussion and the topic of the video that he posted on YouTube is the 1% rule dead? And the answer is yes, it is. So if you're a real estate investor and you're looking at the 1% rule as just a general rule of thumb, for those of you who may not know what it is, it says that your rent should be 1% of the price of the house. So if you're going to buy a $300,000 property and you're going to make it a long-term rental, the monthly rental price should be $3,000. And since prices have gone up so much lately, investors can't find this coveted 1% rule. I think a lot of the problem stems from the fact that there's a rule. There's so many rules for real estate investing or any kind of investing for the whatever finance thing you're into. There's a rule that you can apply. If one rule doesn't work, you just apply this rule. Like I use the 10% rule. So I think that if I'm going to buy a $300,000 house, that the rent should equal $30,000 over the course of that year. But the 1% rule says it should be $3,000 a month, which means that it should make $36,000 a year. So that's a $6,000 swing right there. So if the 1% rule doesn't work for your investment property, well, you can just try to apply the 10% rule. And if the 10% rule doesn't apply, you can try to apply the cash on cash return. And then you can see how much money you're making on your cash. So, I think people get too caught up into crunching these numbers on these deals, because if you want to buy the deal, there is a formula out there that can make it work for you. So I want to get into some of these numbers today to show you what's gone on with the recent rise in real estate prices and how that's affected the 1% rule, the 10% rule, the cash on cash return, whatever way you want to crunch numbers. I'm going to just show you some real numbers that don't have any formulas applied to them. And then you can see if it's worth it for you to buy real estate in the current market. One more thing before I get into the numbers. If you like this video and you like the way that I'm presenting this content to you today, please consider tapping the like button down there. It really does help the algorithm. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, consider doing that as well. And you can find lots more content on this and other subjects that will make you rich. I always wait till the end to do that, and everybody always clicks off before I do it. So I want to put that in the middle. I'm not sure if my brain works the same way as everybody else's brain, so hopefully you can follow along the way that I'm going to do my numbers. I'm going to step back so that I have room to pop some numbers up over here, or I might pop them in the whole screen. We'll have to see how this all pans out. But I'm going to look at my handy dandy notes so that I can go over the numbers with you. Okay, I'm going to use the example of buying a $300,000 house. We're going to use this all the way across this whole example. I'm going to come at it a couple different ways so you can see the numbers worked several different ways. And I'm going to stick with this $300,000 house so that you can see so you can basically compare apples to apples. I'm also going to use a 20% down payment. This way, whether you're buying a primary residence or an investment property, you can kind of compare what these numbers would look like for your mortgage and for your mortgage payments, and we can keep everything even keeled here. Okay, the first way we're going to look at this is if you bought a $300,000 house and you put 20% down, that's $50,000 down payment. Interest rates today are at about 3.11%. So excluding your taxes and your insurance, if you had a $250,000 mortgage at 3.11%, you would have a monthly payment of $1,067. We'll put that up here. So the main point I want to make in this video is how your interest rate is going to affect your payment and your overall success of whether it's a rental property, or how it's going to affect what your payments look like over time, whether you're buying a property for yourself. So we're going to do this by breaking out what several different interest rates are, and then show you how much house you would get for the various different interest rates if rates started to go up, and how that's going to affect how much house you get for the money. And then we're going to also compare that from a rental income aspect. So stick with me. It's not going to be as confusing as it sounds right now, I promise. And I'm going to use all this space over here to make it all very clear for you. I'll step way over here. Oh, now you can see my green light better back there. I got new lights coming, so my set's going to be even a little bit better here soon. So let's use the example of our $300,000 house at 3.11% interest rate. That's what today's rates look like. That's going to give you a principal and interest payment of $1,067. So let's put that here. If your rate went up 1 point at 4.11%, that's going to give you a principal and interest payment of $1,209. This does not include taxes and insurance again. And if it was to go up 2 points at 5.11%, a $250,000 mortgage is $1,358 per month. And if we were to go even one step farther at 6.11% interest, that gives you a monthly payment of $1,516. And we don't have to go that far back in time to get to a 6% interest rate, which I'll talk about in a minute when I finish this example. So to show you how much house you could get for those corresponding interest rates to keep it the same at this $1,209 per month payment, that's equivalent at 3.11% interest to a $283,000 mortgage. So essentially $33,000 more in house you just bought, not including the difference in down payment, just in mortgage. And at $1,355 at 3.11 is equivalent to a $317,000 mortgage, and $1,517 monthly payment is equivalent to $355,000 mortgage payment. So the difference in 3 percentage points is $100,000 in mortgage. So that's a big difference. You can see 3 percentage points is equivalent to $100,000 more in mortgage payment. That's kind of mind blowing. So one point I want to make here is that if you decide to wait to enter the real estate market and rates start to go up, this is what's going to start happening to your payment and how much house you could afford. Okay, erase that. Another thing that I could show you is the $300,000 house that you wanted to buy last year. Now that prices are up 15%, I was the only one, by the way, predicting that the housing market wasn't going to crash ever since coronavirus came out. And a lot of people told me that I was an idiot and they were going to wait for the crash. Well, turns out so far I've been right. And now prices are up, I would say average about 15% nationwide. Some people say 12, some people say 18, just kind of depends on the market that you're in. Let's call it 15. So that $300,000 house you were going to buy last year now costs you $345,000. So there's two things that happened here. You're going to have to put down more down payment for your 20% down, and your monthly payment is going to go up because of the increase in the price. So let's see how much of a difference that is. On a $345,000 loan, now you're going to have to put down $69,000, and your payment is going to go from $1,067 at $300,000 to $1,180 at $345,000. It's $113 per month. So, okay, well, you missed that boat. That ship already sailed. So what you have to ask yourself now is, do you think the market's going to crash? I don't think the market's going to crash. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. This is just my opinion. This is not professional advice. This is just what I think is going on. So, or do you think the market's going to go up another 15% in the next 12 months? Because if that's what you think, it's going to cost you another probably 20. If it costs you 19 for this jump, it's going to cost you $21,000 extra on top of the 19 extra. So $40,000, $45,000 more you're going to have to pay by waiting another year than you would have paid 2 years ago after the other year passes. Does that make sense? And another $115 in payments. So instead of paying $115 now more than you did last year, in another year, you'll be paying $240 more than you would have last year. So these are the questions you have to ask yourself is like, what do you think the market is going to do? And are you prepared to wait? Like, do you want to get, if you're already feeling like you're priced out of the market now, but you could get in the market, but you just think it's too high, but you'd want to wait because you want to see what happens. Well, if the market's going up 12% per year, let's just call that 1% every month. So that means your $300,000 house today is $303,000 next month, and $306,000 the next month, and $309,000 the next month, and I'll stop before my math gets fuzzy. Okay, so I hope you get the point on what these numbers look like from this year versus last year, and extrapolate them to next year and see what could happen. And if you're an investor, I hope you can see what this looks like on your bottom line for an investment property. The 1% rule or the 10% rule may not apply anymore. Maybe you need to apply the 8% rule or the 0.8% rule, or the, instead of getting a 10% return, maybe you're going to get 8 or 7 or 6 right now. And that's what the returns are. And the choices are sit on the sidelines and wait and watch prices potentially go even higher and you get left behind even farther, or jump in the game and just get on that horse and start holding on for dear life and see where it goes. They say the same thing in the stock market. They say, if you have a big chunk of money, should you dollar cost average in, trying to time the market, because maybe it goes down, maybe it goes up. And there's multiple study after study after study that show that if you have a lump sum of money and you put it in now, it'll perform better than, say you have $100,000 and you put $10,000 in every month for the next 10, 12 months. Your money will perform better if you put it in now than it will $10,000 chipping it in a little bit at a time. So I feel the same way with the real estate market. I always say the best time to buy was today. No, that's not what I say. I would say the best time to buy real estate was yesterday, and the second best time is today. Something like that. You get the point. So leave me a comment down below. Let me know if this is something that you've thought about, if you're thinking about buying real estate, if you've thought about looking at the numbers like this, or if you have something to add to the conversation. I would love to hear it. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.